So, the next couple of episodes you're going to hear on this podcast, if you're wondering which one you stumbled into, of course, it's the Binge-Watchers podcast with yours truly, Johnny Spoiler. I only spoil the movies that I love, joined as always by the Savage Scream Queen herself, Jordan Savage. You find yourselves here as we pick off a series of weird movie recommendations and reactions to weird movies. But here's this funny thing, is I don't find things that seem that weird to me. Like, I guess categorically, movies that would seem weird to a lot of people seem like ordinary things to me. I don't know if that means that, like, you know how, like, they say, like, people can get desensitized to horror films,
sure.
right?
Right.
I'm like desensitized to life. Am I a sexual deviant? I would never label myself as a sexual deviant. Do I have fetishes? I wouldn't say I have fetishes. I remember growing up and being called weird, and then or eccentric. And what's funny is, like, when I was a kid, eccentric was just like, yeah, you're a weird kid. Then later on, they're like, oh, you're on the spectrum. Oh, you know, you know what I mean? Like, all the colors of the rainbow.
I feel you.
And then,
I feel you.
And again, I'm not weirded out by the fact that there's a movie called Howard the Duck, and Howard the Duck's girlfriend is a human, and he's a duck. I buy it. So again, like, what's the litmus test? Like, how do you, like, you know, whatever. I've also been labeled bipolar, and so I'm certifiable. So it's like, you know, but again, it all goes back to, like, what's weird. So I'm trying to put a list of movies together to watch this month with Jordan, and they all kind of feel like, yeah, I would just turn this on a Sunday afternoon, like when everybody's watching, like, the freaking NFL division games. I'm just flipping through these movies, no big deal.
I must say, historically, Weird Movie Month has been one of my favorites. So I'm so excited.
And Jordan joined the show at a weird time when we were only watching weird things because we were getting burnt out. It was the end of the year. Like, hey, Jordan, jump on this and watch these robots beat each other up in a 90s movie. And if that's not a test to see if you can conquer binge watching, I don't know what is. However, I don't remember what conversation we were having, but Jordan recently alluded to the fact that she's into sleazy stuff too. Mm-hmm, that she can hang with the weirdness. I'm like, oh, then you're on the perfect show. Like, it's no big deal.
I'm also weird, so I'm here for it.
Well, I mean, like, I was in a film class. It might have been screenwriting 101 or, like, directing 101 or something. But anyway, the instructor said that all my stories I would turn in was absurdist. And I was like, what does that even mean in terms of filmmaking? And then, like, I'm like, oh, let me Google it for the podcast. Here's the qualities of absurdism in absurdist fiction. They're satire, they're dark humor, they have incongruity, they include the abasement of reason, and they involve a controversial concept in philosophy, which includes the condition of being nothing. So I have to sit here and think if I agree with these labels or not. Now, abasement, it means, like, reduction. So I'm like, wait, so reducing reason. So I guess it has to be unreasonable, right? I'm applying these definitions because I don't exactly know. And then I'll look up incongruity, to be incongruitous. I was like, not in harmony with all the aspects of a thing, or, like, at a place inappropriately. And I'm like, okay, so you have a brick wall and all the bricks are white except for one brick, which is red. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or, like, you know, somebody's wearing a winter jacket at the beach and everybody else is dressed in swimwear.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I would find there's always a plausible way to get to arrive at that beach in that jacket. But then if my story goes off and doesn't ever address the jacket, you might say it's absurd, because most people will be like, oh, we've watched this for 10 minutes. Surely they're going to tell us why Fred is in the coat. Is in the jacket. No. And if I never say, then I think we've qualified, right? And if we cut to black at the beach and you don't even know why you're watching scenes at a beach, then you're left to fill in the blanks, which is also another aspect of, like, absurd filmmaking. If they give you that ambiguous ending, you have to decide for yourself. The philosophy of, like, the meaningless thing. I mean, here recently, I've been talking on this podcast, and also not to disenfranchise the audience, but it's almost like there's a lot of soul singing, because I thought I just ran this giant circle of life, and then I'm coming to the point where I'm like, it has meaning. It's also meaningless simultaneously. Now, here's where my ego is going to really go crazy and out of check, Jordan. When I was in my early 20s, I already achieved enlightenment. Okay. Everything else is a bonus.
Okay.
I already went. So I've already determined
he's at the peak. Okay.
Yeah. So everything else is just like whatever.
This guy lives in his 7th chakra. So you know what? I'm here for
that. Oh, yeah. And obviously, like the chakra, that was my main thing, like which I also learned about in. When people start talking to me about chakras, probably about that same time, they're like, oh, he's just been influenced by a bunch of weirdos on the street talking about his chakras. The voice chakra, obviously, right? Where are we? Oh, we're on a show. Guess what? We're supported by sponsors and supporters to bring this podcast to you, to make this show every week. And if you want to experience a superior day with Ready, they're a premium, low-calorie, non-psychoactive hemp beverage enriched with vitamins like B12 to keep you focused and relaxed. You can get ready for your day with every sip. It's in the podcast notes. Also, if you like handcrafted wines, championed by independent winemakers, Naked Wines is going to hook you up with that. So you can join the movement at the Naked Wines link in our playlist there. Well, it'll be in the podcast notes. You can also join Flavy R, like caviar, but Flaviar. Flaviar is a whiskey club for those that want to taste the adventure and unlock a world of fine spirits and exclusive experiences. They're one of our new affiliates. You can try the finest wines from around the globe. And also, they're getting ready to drop their advent calendar because this blew my mind. They have a whiskey advent calendar.
Let's go.
Well,
I want
exactly. More about those sponsor offers later, folks. But we're going to skip on over to, I don't know, a segment. We'll be right after the intro. We'll be back with home video headlines.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
More has a TV show, but she's got like a daytime talk show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she just decided, I'm going back to work. I mean, I know she's part of the actors union. She's probably part of the other unions too, but she went back to work. And then I guess like the side story was there were some people in the audience wearing the pins to support the actors union. They got kicked out of the audience during the taping of the show. I'm like, oh yeah, you're really kind of drawing which line of the sand you're, on this one. But I understand she probably has a Malibu house. I signed up for this thing on Instagram where it's like California homes that were built in the 50s. They're all $2 million. So if she has one of those, I get it. Housing market's insane.
That's a big mortgage.
Yeah. But like they're saying like 80% of the union members are all like day-to-day players or something. And I'm like, oh yeah, they were already living with 3 roommates. Now they got to live with 6. Who knows?
Toast. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think it's a good move. But then there's horror stories about these talk shows. Like they were saying like the Tonight Show that Jimmy Fallon was being rude to his staff or something. I don't know. I mean, I could see. I mean, there's a lot of pressure to produce these shows, but I don't know. I guess at some point you just get wound up if you're the producer, the talent, and the writer or whatever. I don't know.
It's almost like every talk show has kind of that sort of...
the drama like always explodes on talk shows, right? Like it's part of the territory or something.
Like name one that hasn't had kind of that come out. So, yeah.
There's even been drama on this show, but usually I just kill it. I don't know if the audience even knows. Who knows? Who knows what the audience knows and doesn't know? They're like, what?
Ain't no drama here. Well, not between us, at least.
Yeah. Rumor mill. Maybe Disney Plus is gonna bring us a new Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin.
I'm here for it.
You know what I just almost said? And this wasn't even I wasn't even gonna say this, but then like, oh man, I wonder if I should have more unbridled thoughts on the show. I don't know. They might be good sound bites. It's very inappropriate. Never mind.
Okay.
I'll just leave it. Anyway, that's the rumor. A rumor, Home Alone with Culkin. Okay. Grown-up Culkin. Also a rumor. There's no foundation for this. I don't know, but it might be cool. They're suggesting that Keanu Reeves might join Nick Cage in a National Treasure sequel. National Treasure is, I know the plot of the first one. I don't think I watched the whole second one, but basically there was a plot to steal the Declaration of Independence, and Nick Cage was like a dude that knows all about history. And then there's like some ancient mystery that his grandfather or his dad were clued into, but didn't complete the puzzles. And then he's trying to complete the puzzles. And then like he's like, to save the Declaration, we're gonna steal the Declaration, right? So that's the trailer moment, right? Like that's the line. People were like, I'm gonna see that movie. They're messing with my independence. So like, anyway, it would be a good movie, maybe. I mean, it's basically saying like, so this crazy Nick Cage with like John Wick shows up and helps him out. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the angle that they're playing up. It'd be funny if they just wrote John Wick into, like, if it was like John Wick 5 National Treasures. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I am here for that. That would be so good. Yeah.
Dang. Okay, let's see. Oh. And I think I already broke down the sad news that I'm not gonna talk about the celebrity deaths. People are like, oh, here comes a celebrity death. You know. No. Or the story about Hyde from that 70s show. I'm not going there. I'm not doing it. Look it up on TMZ if you really want to know. I just wonder, did I ever talk about on this show about how they were going to remake Alien Nation? Did I ever say that the remake was dead, that they were not going to do it?
I don't think you have yet. So
let me just mansplain it up for y'all. If you don't know what Alien Nation is, there's these spotted aliens. It's kind of a social commentary on race and economy and where you are in life. The 80s movie was great. It's like they're called newcomers. They crash in their spaceship. They get integrated into life. And then, like, they get drunk off spoiled milk. Like, if they drink rotten milk, it's like giving them alcohol. But there's, like, a illegal drug from their spaceship that's now being marketed on the street. So a human cop and an alien cop work together to find out who's giving this drug to all the other aliens. Mandy Patinkin, who's in Princess Bride as Inigo Montoya, the Spanish sword fighter, who becomes one of the main character's allies, plays the alien in the movie version. And then James Caan is the detective. So it's like a gritty 1980s cop movie, except for the partner, the sidekick, is a freaking space alien, right? It's a good movie. And like, then there was a TV show that made like, I don't know, 50 episodes. And then they made like 4 made-for-TV movies. What's a made-for-TV movie? Time out. Got to explain something else. Kids, if you're listening to made-for-TV movies, exactly what it sounds like. There was this thing called television. And sometimes they would make movies for it, which means they would spend more money than they usually spent on an episode of television or the season finale and bring you a movie that you could only watch on television until they saved it for, until they started reappearing on YouTube, or they would get sold on video cassette disc. What's a video cassette? No, I'm just kidding. I won't do it a third time. Tonight's movie is called Bad Taste. Basically, the New Zealand government learns that aliens are harvesting their citizens for an intergalactic restaurant, and it's a gory horror parody. I don't know if it's a parody. It's just kind of it's just a weird movie. Like, I don't think it's a parody of anything in particular. Like, they're making kind of like Inspector Gadget / James Bond jokes in the beginning, but then it becomes more like an Evil Dead, Friday the 13th, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Like, it veers off into like its own territory after that. And it's made by Peter Jackson. Hello. It's like his first handmade movie, like him and his buddies. Jordan's going to tell you all about that with the savage stats.
Yeah, I am going to tell you all about it with the savage stats. So, as you mentioned, Sir Peter Jackson shot the film on weekends. So, over a 4-year period with friends playing the lead roles, he would only film over the weekends, which actually allowed him to have a lot of time to think about what he wanted to incorporate into the film later on after it was funded. So Jackson funded most of the film himself until towards the end of the shoot, when New Zealand Film Commission gave him money to actually finish the project, after they were super impressed with what he had already produced all on his own. So there was never a script for the movie, and then because he only filmed on Saturdays and Sundays, he had all this time during the week to think about all these different ideas essentially for the film. Sir Peter Jackson made all the masks in his mother's kitchen, which is super cool. She'd go to make dinner and he'd be too busy, making masks. And most of the heads are bent backwards because they wouldn't fit into the oven. So while the latex was being hardened. The banning of the film in the Australian state of Queensland in 1990 is regarded as the main reason for why Queensland Film Board of Review was disbanded. Workers of the QFBOR regarded it as too violent, even though it was already a censored version and the film had been approved by the New Zealand Film Commission. The nationwide Australian Classification Board saw the regional workers as unprofessional for banning an approved film that was already censored by the subsequently disbanded them. So it was approved. They didn't like it, said it was too violent. Then it was done.
Okay, back up. Allowed. Take a breath for 1 second. I know you got more to tell us, but I was just having some thoughts on making a movie over 4 years. I thought he made it on the weekend, like maybe over a couple of months. I didn't realize he didn't write it down though. So I don't know if that's more impressive or less impressive that there's no actual script, but
no script
the continuity of his friends looking mostly similar. I think I was reading that the one guy has a beard the whole time. So imagine telling that guy you can't shave for 4 years or something. But anyway, I mean, yeah, you got to give credit where credit's due. Like a lot of us sit down and go oh, it'd be cool to make a movie about this or make a movie about that or make a movie about that. And everybody's got stuff going on in their lives. Illnesses, marriages, jobs.
Divorces.
To figure it out with your friends how to make a movie, and to turn in a feature film that, here we are, 30 some odd years we're talking about it right now. There you go. Anyway. And the thing about, I don't really understand how states work in Australia or the different countries, but it's interesting that, I noticed in the United Kingdom and other countries, there's a government-based body that gives money to filmmakers. So I don't know if they have restrictions, the government approves this in your story, but you can't badmouth the government. You know what I mean? I don't know what the rules are, how those artists get money. Because have you ever seen movies from England or New Zealand? It always says the thing will come up in the beginning a logo, right? A New Zealand Commission or London Film Commission or all these countries that have and I'm just thinking we don't got that. No. If you're hey, me and my friends, we're gonna be making a movie about some aliens, and we want you to pay for it. Kick over the check. you know what I mean? It's art.
No. Yeah. Super wild. Okay, so there's this really gross scene where the aliens eat human soup. The vomit in the bowl was yogurt. Yeah. And I don't know how to say that word, and it's so tiny on my screen. Muesli with green food coloring.
It's that Swedish cereal, hot cereal. It's kind of like oatmeal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. Yogurt mixed with some oatmeal and green food coloring.
It almost looked like toxic fruit salad is what it kind of looked like to me.
Kind of like an ambrosia salad. Oh my god! Yeah, exactly. It did look it was
I did warn Jordan about the vomit beforehand because she's got a sensitive gag reflex. And
straight up put it
in the vomit scenes. I was like, get ready, gross out scenes are coming.
Put it in the notes when he was reviewing what movies we're going to watch for this month. Yeah. And did he do me a favor? And did I need that warning? I sure did.
Yeah, don't be sitting there eating pudding while watching this movie, okay?
Yeah, or just don't think about food or I don't know. Ugh. Okay. Well, there's more. Shall I continue on some savage
Well, I mean, the
stats?
chainsaw prop is kind of important, and then
Oh, okay. The big
what?
red.
And then what? I mean, I would mention what Peter Jackson goes on to do.
Well, I was gonna kind of tie.
I
Some
know
of
I'm
that into
interrupting
my
you, but I'm just trying to
ratings.
entertain. So keep going. I would love to hear about the chainsaw.
So Big Red Chainsaw didn't actually work. All close-up shots of the chainsaw were actually cutting through things, were shot using a much smaller but functional chainsaw, which makes sense if you know some of the movies that he.
Yeah, one of the characters is like, "Hey, you know what? I'm tired of trying to shoot the aliens. I'm just going to try to chop them up."
He's actually my favorite character. But anyways, we're not in that bit, so
we're not to the favorite bits yet. We got to back up the train a little bit.
The original VHS box artwork had the alien flipping the middle finger. Tapes distributed to the US video rental stores were provided with an extra finger so that it could be glued in place to make it look like he was making a peace sign instead. I think that's so funny.
Yeah, cover up the joke.
Yeah, to cover up the joke, right? Also, to poke fun at this, recent releases have the 3D effect when you tilt the cover that flips between having one finger and two fingers. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that.
Great.
Peter Jackson, who cameos as an alien in this movie, said he was inspired by OG King Kong, went on to make The Lord of the Rings and King Kong 2005. Also, Jackson's fans know him for Brain Dead or Dead Alive, the zombie movie. So
that's actually my favorite Peter Jackson movie. His King Kong is pretty good, but it's almost a direct remake of the original, with more scenes given to the human characters, just set up before they get to King Kong. But yeah, Dead Alive's incredible. I guess the New Zealand title is Brain Dead, but I've always known it as Dead Alive, right? I had like the first print run of the US DVD or whatever, but it fell in hard times. I sold that DVD on eBay. However, the fact that it still had value means that the movie's doing well. It's kind of like a cult classic, right? You know what's interesting? There's a scene at the end of this movie where the guy with the chainsaw goes through an alien.
Yes.
In Dead Alive, there's a scene at the end where, I mean, this is like why the scene is the movie. Well, there's two reasons why that. Well, gosh, okay. I'm not going to talk about Dead Alive now. There's three reasons why Dead Alive is a great follow-up to this movie. In Dead Alive, it's known for what makes the zombies happen. A Sumatran rat monkey bites somebody, right? And it's like a weird rat that has the zombie virus in its blood and then bites the mom. And she turns into this grotesque zombie mom. And it's kind of like Psycho. Like, it's about like a guy who has an uncomfortable relationship with his mom, and she's like very domineering. And then at one point, there's like a lunch table filled with zombies, and two of the zombies have sex with each other and produce a baby zombie. So first of all, you got a crazy rat creature that makes the zombies. Then you have two zombies that make a baby zombie. And then the third thing is the grotesque mom keeps mutating throughout the movie, and she reabsorbs the son and then gives birth to the son while he's trying to get rid of the zombies. Wow. And instead of a chainsaw, he has a giant old-fashioned lawnmower that has like these giant blades, and he turns that into a weapon that he carries. So basically, you can see that Peter Jackson's only going to get better and better from this movie, folks. On his way to Dead Alive. Yeah, and also he's one of my favorite filmmakers. And then what's funny is like you watch a movie like Bad Taste, and you're like, this guy's going nowhere. Forget this stuff. Or people are like, this is so gross. It's disgusting. It's horrible. And then he makes Lord of the Rings wins an Oscar.
You know? Amazing. Yeah.
We'll be right back after what? Is that it? Yeah, that's it.
That's it for the stats.
Okay.
Savage.
So we'll be right back after these messages. There's only a few, and then we'll be back to the podcast. Ready is a premium infused CBD seltzer that offers restoration for the mind, body, and mood. Ready is crafted by APPI founders with a desire to solve a problem. As working professionals that strive to live to the fullest, we endeavor to create a product that provides energy after a long workday without the undesirable effects that alcohol or energy drinks can often have, says Drink Ready. After extensive research, they decided to devote their efforts to creating a health-conscious beverage focused on hydration and restoration. Now, with careful formulation, they crafted a recipe to fit into any wellness routine. Born on the heels of the previous pandemic, it was important to them to create a product that can be enjoyed among friends. As such, they tailored the product to be a social beverage that also promotes physical and mental well-being. They use classic ingredients to reduce stress and produce brain chemicals that positively affect that mood. With Ready, you can renew your sense of productivity, relax your mind, your body, and restore your overall sense of well-being. So consider Ready as a remedy for the day, crafted with those with refined tastes. Discover the best way to enjoy great wine. Your direct access to the world's best winemakers and support independent winemakers. You can get better wine in return. With the support of 300,000 wine drinkers, Naked Wines has funded talented independent winemakers up front. This way, they get to spend all their time on making you the best wine possible. It's world-class wine direct from talented independent winemakers. You get a better deal up front, up to 60% off market prices. It's a better way to discover tasty new favorites with over 2 million reviews from wine drinkers like you. It was rated the #1 wine club in America by USA Today. They got 150 wines awarded gold medals, and it's delivered to your doorstep. So, support independent winemakers, get better wine in return. Naked Wines funds talented independent winemakers up front. That way they get to spend all their attention on making that best wine possible for you. And customers can get up to 60% off market prices. Use our link to start shipping and sipping enjoyable wine. Flaviar, whiskey club for explorers at heart. Flaviar is a completely personalized online spirit subscription service that lets people try premium spirits from the comfort of their own homes. They're a band of spirit enthusiasts inspired by culture, rich history, and the art of distillation. So they've forged a world of spirits for the finest, rarest, and most unique expressions out there, and they pack it all into a 21st century members club. They're on a mission to help you taste new things more often by helping you discover new favorites without breaking the bank with their tasting boxes containing 3 premium spirit samples. By teaching you about the differences and nuances in flavor, the history, and the lingo, with help from industry insiders and spirits pros. There's a world of outstanding spirits out there, and they believe you have a right to taste them. Drinking spirits is expensive, so instead of dropping bank on a bottle you're not sure you'll absolutely love, expand your palate with Flaviar's ever-growing collection of spirits. This members club curates an extensive collection that's complete with everything from the big brand classics to offerings from smaller craft distillers with personalized recommendations based on your current likes and dislikes, and one complimentary tasting box every quarter. Their selection eclipses what you'll find at local liquor stores and bars, totaling thousands, all documented in the Flaviar app, along with visualized tasting notes. Members also get special pricing, and shipping is free on everything. So when you stumble on a bottle you need more of, it'll arrive right at your door. Press. I actually might order the whiskey advent calendar. I think that's ridiculous.
Sounds
It'd be
amazing.
like, it's kind of like Andy in the office goes, let's get high on our own supply. Like, if you're the dealer and the supplier at the same time, don't use your own stash, man. However, I think I will use the affiliate link to buy the whiskey advent calendar. I think, like, you know how, like, if you're trying to figure out what to get people for holidays, you're like, what am I going to send out to dude or dudette? I actually think, like, I'm going to get 4 of these advent calendars and ship them off. It's like,
Yeah.
guys, get drunk at Thanksgiving, whatever.
Oh, it's amazing. Sounds
anyway,
incredible.
we're back. What did you say? Sorry.
But it sounds incredible. I would want one.
Yeah.
So I think
Sounds
I'll buy one
pretty
too.
fun. Sounds fun, right? Like a shot a day.
Mm.
Don't call us alcoholics. We're just podcasters.
Okay.
Back to the podcast in progress, like I said, where we're here with our favorite bits from Peter Jackson's Bad Taste.
Okay. Kicking us off with the favorite bits. So I'm trying to paint the scene here. So we have this scarfed character. I don't really know if they have names in this
Yeah, they have
movie.
names. That's Barry, I think.
Barry. Barry is essentially hanging over this cliff, right? He has one of the aliens tied to a rope. And he's torturing the alien, which essentially lets out this massive
Well, he's
cry.
supposed to be the scientific one, studying the aliens, right?
Well, and he's like, I felt like this is kind of like the Three Stooges are catching aliens, especially in the beginning. It's very quirky and like kind of goofy, you know? But he's essentially torturing this alien, lets out the massive cry, and like the whole cliff scene just takes off from there, right? The alien like headbutts him and it's just going crazy and wild, and somehow Barry ends up on the cliff because the other aliens are coming after him. The alien that was attached to the rope is no longer there. He's fighting for his life. He's grasping on grass and he's just popping lead everywhere. I loved the line when he said, what did he say? Like, something. He said, "Eat lead, sucker." I don't know why. That just made me laugh. But the character, right, essentially falls. He like explodes. He ends up headbutting again a freaking seagull. Like it just, his whole character gets so completely ridiculous. He doesn't actually die. His brain is out of his head. That was like the first gore moment for me, like, or at least shock, like jarring.
Stuffing his own brain back into his head.
Stuffing his own brain back into his head,
and then later on he's adding brain matter to his brain to rebuild the whole mind. Yeah.
And that was just like ridiculous. Yeah, he's just such a ridiculous character. I did think that whole like cliff scene was insane because he technically does play that other character, the bearded alien. And so it's just really cool how they have to film it, you know, with perspective and stand-ins and things like that. So yeah, Barry was kind of my favorite. And then at the very end, when he's busting into the house, he cuts out this very perfect human with a chainsaw shape to get into the house. I thought that was kind of funny. Barry's a bit of a quirk, but I was here for it. So.
See, I always thought that Peter Jackson did play Barry or whatever and was that eccentric guy stuffing his brain into his head and being ridiculous, but then he's also that bearded alien. So I wasn't sure that he did double duty and played one of the characters and the alien.
Double duty.
You got more favorite bits, or you're going to stick with just all that?
I'm going to stick with those, yeah.
Right, that was pretty good. I mean, stuff in the brains, the eccentricity of the character, the zaniness of the story being Three Stooges, and the dive bombing through an alien's body with your chainsaw is pretty good.
The physical effects are obviously what make this movie, and I was like full blown like hunched over during the vomit scene, like tears streaming down my face because I just couldn't handle it. Yeah. So they did well. They did really well with that.
I got my classic handwritten notebook movie pages here. The zany suspenseful music right off the top. There's no wasted information. The movie starts right away. And as you said, we're like in the New Zealand countryside, and this special team of operatives is already dealing with the aliens. They're supposed to be like New Zealand's best, but it's like the D squad. You know what I'm saying? But the defense minister in the beginning has a prosthetic hand with only one finger on it to light his cigarette, but then he has a lighter made out of a whole hand. It's very weird. But that's like kind of James Bondy or Inspector Gadgety. So that plus the music, you already know you're in for a ride. Yes. And then like he dials. Did you notice on his phone? He dials the boys, right? Like,
yes, yeah. It's like the button. It says the boys. Yeah.
Instead of Commissioner Gordon in the 1960s Batman card, like calling on the red telephone to summon Batman, it was like this guy had an old rotary phone, but then on it was just like the last button to push. It summons the boys. You know, pretty good. Who he called real men, but then they're collectively called the boys. Yeah, I don't know. And there's another great line. The bastards have landed. Like they're already pretentious. They're like nobody in this movie assumes that the aliens are there to strike up peace and enter us into the intergalactic confederation or something. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, they're here to do horrible things. We gotta just kill them all. Like we already have like speciesism or something. What else did I write down? Yeah, packing your brains back into your own head. Great.
Yes.
So you can continue fighting crime, basically. Like he wants to complete the mission, so he just keeps packing his brain back into place. And the punch bowl, what I lovingly refer to as the punch bowl. Communal scene, at the water hole.
Yeah, everybody drinks out of it. That whole scene I did really like too, because I felt like you were like in a 70s cult, like while everybody's waiting in that room for like the main alien to like be speaking to them.
Yeah, so all the aliens pretend to be humans until boss alien morphs out, and it's like what a traditional alien has always been in the pictures with the big giant heads, but then it kind of turns into a fat bulbous skull, which is really cool. But other than that, they're all in jeans and t-shirts, and like at one point, one of the operatives has to pretend to be an alien, and I'm like, would they smell like the aliens? I guess he does, because he has the clothes of the alien that he just beat up or whatever, killed in the other room. But then they're all having like a communal meal or something, talking about how they want to turn humans into this soup or whatever and sell it, and like he's got to drink it to prove that he's an alien. So there you go. Spoiler alert: he's got to drink the soup,
and he drinks
again.
soup.
Don't eat a tuna fish sandwich. Don't eat chicken noodle soup. I mean, I ate like a half hour before this movie, and I was still nauseated watching it. I'm nauseated right now. My stomach is queasy talking about this movie. So
it's like sends like jolts through my body of shivers, where I'm like, yeah.
And maybe I'm a sadist or a sociopath, because I was like, Jordan literally revealed 3 months ago, she's like, guys, I can't take the vomit scenes. And I'm
we've had a lot.
This movie spends 15 minutes with the vomiting, like
there's vomiting into the bowl, and then everybody drinks the vomit, it's Ugh.
The only other disgusting bowl scene, it might be in 13th Warrior, where they're all drinking out of the communal water bowl and blowing their snot back into it and passing it to the other Vikings. Let's see. Yeah, that's our favorite bits from Bad Taste. We can rate the movie. Obviously, if you're paying attention, I think you know which way we're going to go. I mean, I think if you can find this movie, you need to watch this movie, or you should watch it. Jordan, binge now, binge later, or binge never. Watch it now, get to it eventually, or don't waste your time. Where do you land?
Okay. So here's the predicament that I run into, because you...
Oh, no. Now she's going to have a contrarian review or a contrarian rating of the movie.
No.
Even though she's been singing its praises for a half hour.
Here's the thing, is that sometimes I feel like if I were to research the movie before, I would see it through a different lens and I would like it more when I watch it. And then I've also had the reverse happen, where I'm like, I've researched it before and then I watched it and then I liked it less. And so I kind of battle with that all the time. And so now I just don't research it before, right? But
you must be a really good poker player, because we get here sometimes and I don't feel the knife entering until it's too late.
So watching that little mini documentary on this movie made me like it a lot better. And I was like, damn. And so I wish I would have watched it during that lens, but I bet if I watched it a second time, I would be
right,
like,
but then
this
again,
is
that would color your opinion, right?
Totally. So I go into it now just like completely unbiased, and so I'm gonna say it's a binge leader for me.
So it would have been never then.
Would have been a never. But except for the effects. Except for the I know. He's mad now. He's mad. He's mad. Like I said, historically,
push my own brain back into my head so I can fix myself. Wow. Okay. Here's something that you couldn't engineer, and I just want to preface it because the voicemail we got from a fan, from Brenna, who's I guess actor or actress in Canada, sent us a voicemail for our fan service this week. We're gonna play the voicemail. My name isn't John Mayer, but my real name is on my LinkedIn. If you guys are internet trolls or internet detectives, I'm sure you could find my real name, even though I call myself Johnny Spoiler on the show because I spoil things. That's the whole point of the show. But it's not John Mayer, but she calls me John Mayer. But the tone is weird. And I'm like, so this is like, one could suggest, how did they get a weird voicemail during Weird Movie Month? The stars aligned. I did nothing. I did nothing but say, hey, why don't you, if you like the show, send a voicemail.
Hold up. You didn't even rate the movie yet. And you're gonna skirt by me just bearing the hatchet or blowing it up, I guess. What, you gotta rate it.
Well, because it's obvious. I mean, but I'm glad there's conflict. I love the episodes where there's conflict. I'm sure the audience can appreciate that there's a little bit of banter back and forth. It's a binge now. If you like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, if you happen to have seen Dead Alive and you're like, or Meet the Feebles, which is again another disgusting comedy, but with then puppets, which kind of then inspired this Happy Time Murders puppet movie. Meet the Feebles came before it, but yeah, he made weird stuff, and it's really cool stuff that he made.
Which I would agree. That's like why I'm like, okay, I wish I would have seen the thing, or like
if it's Professor Johnny Spoiler's film school class, you're watching Bad Taste. Okay, it's on the list. It's going to be in the curriculum or whatever. Now let me play the voicemail.
Professor.
Shout out to John Mayer and his amazing podcasts. I think they're witty and funny and give an insight onto some of the cool movies that have been and are now. Spooky season is coming up, and some of my favorite movies are the Ghostbusters series. Still making a comeback today, which is awesome. I can share them with my kids. And some of the greatest movie quotes that have ever come out, of course, and still used today. I just wanted to say thank you for bringing some of the old culture back.
When we play stuff in the studio, sometimes there's a delay, so we don't hear the full message until the episode is compiled. But she says John Mayer's interesting podcast or something like that. I played it before I loaded it into our studio. No, I'm not John Mayer, and I'm not waiting for the world to change. And I don't play things with the guitar.
Come on, you wear a fedora, right?
Yeah, exactly. Man.
Oh, that was incredible. I loved that. More voicemails, please.
So, yeah, I love Ghostbusters 2, man. I got a real penchant. I got a real fandom for Ghostbusters 2 specifically. I do love in the Afterlife sequel that they brought back the goddess or whatever from the first movie as the villain. That was really cool. I think her name is Gozer. Yeah, Gozer the Destroyer. However, I love Vigo the Carpathian, which is the ghost baddie in part 2. And that happens at New Year's, and they have slime, which is really cool. It's like it's a whole plot. We don't have time to now sit here for 2 hours and talk about Ghostbusters 2. But yeah, John Mayer. I hate the comparison. My name might be Mayo, like mayonnaise. Who knows? I'm not gonna say. But what else? Oh. But then she was saying you can quote the Ghostbusters, but she didn't quote the Ghostbusters. I was waiting for a quote. So hard to say what she likes about it exactly. Or it'd be interesting to see if she likes the all-female Ghostbusters with Melissa McCarthy, which is in between the sequel Afterlife, which is like the third one of the originals, but in between that there's like a whole different universe with female Ghostbusters. Yeah, but keep the voicemails coming. Jordan wants the messages, and then we can give out prizes.
Yeah.
What else is going on? Oh, so it's Weird Movie Month, so we're gonna give away some weird box sets. Like I think we might give away the new Farscape Blu-ray, which is like the whole series of Farscape, which also has puppets. It's like Jim Henson Puppet Movie Company made the animatronics and some of the creatures in Farscape, which is a pretty cool show. An astronaut goes through a wormhole, and then he's stuck on a prison ship with some aliens that escape from like a tyrannical government that's chasing him through the universe, and they want his secret to wormhole technology so they can get to the other side of the universe and conquer everybody. What else is going on? Oh, staff picks. If you watched or did anything, I say did anything because I know what Jordan's been up to because she was texting me about it. But if we can recommend a book, a movie, some event, something else going on, in my notes I just wrote "sexy Star Wars?" ? Yeah. Jordan's like, I'm going to a cabaret. I'm like, what? She sent me a link. She's like, this is what I'm up to this weekend. I'm like, what is this? And I click at it, and it's like half-naked stormtroopers, half-naked Imperial guards, half-naked bounty hunters. Does Chewbacca get naked? I don't know. Probably. And I'm like, where are you going? Oh, she's wearing a t-shirt. So if you saw the video of this episode, she's got a t-shirt from the whole thing.
I'm rocking my shirt tonight.
So first of all, I didn't know that Jordan has never professed or even mentioned that she likes Star Wars on the show. Did she get dragged to this show?
No.
Did she buy the tickets herself? There's so many questions. How does
Jordan
Savage end up at a sexy Star Wars show?
Yes, I do like Star Wars. I bought the tickets. It was my idea. And I was totally targeted on an Instagram ad. And I was like, this looks right up
dude.
my alley. Bought the tickets. Splurged on the tickets. Got the best seats in the house. The shirt came with it.
Like front row?
You know how there's a balcony in the theater?
The
On the
splash
front
zone?
row, I wasn't in the splash zone. Let me tell you about a bowl scene.
Because in my mind, if it's really a sexy Star Wars show, things are splashing.
There is a splash zone. Yes. No, I was not in the way of sweat or water, but
Bodily fluids.
Yeah. No, it's Star Wars parody burlesque show. Very sexy, very classy, some twerking. Chewbacca knows how to twerk for sure. It was incredible. The performances were incredible. It's called The Empire Strips Back. So it was the entire premise of the movie Empire Strikes Back.
Let's say that one more time. Empire Strips folks.
Back.
In attention.
Yes. They're still touring. So check out to see if they're in a city near you.
Wait, are you saying that sexy Star Wars goes all over the country?
Like the world, I think.
Wow.
There was So
it's not just some weird thing down in Arizona they're doing down there.
It was incredible. One of my favorite scenes is with Jabba. It was wild. You have sexy Leia who's doing a dance. She's got a chain around her. It was smoking hot. There's a whole Jedi.
Well, that's right out of the movie, but then it's like, I guess the show takes it further, right?
But it's the whole premise of that one movie. There's multiple different scenes that it's like playing out. You have like sexy Luke Skywalker riding in, in the very beginning, just taken. And the girls get
is it an all-female cast, or do they have other
Yeah, there's a Han Solo. There's some men performers.
Genders.
Very talented.
They have multiple genders in this show?
Yes, Chewbacca was, I'm pretty sure, a man, very tall person.
I was going to say, question mark, a furry, so we don't really know.
Mm-hmm. We don't really know. You're right. Absolutely. But I have to say 11 out of 10. It's like, the flag girls in high school, but then they got insanely hot and danced a Star Wars parody show. Incredible. So 11 out of 10. A must see if it's coming to a city near you. I think it was the coolest thing I've ever done. So, yeah.
Hey, I'm glad you shared that with the class. All right. Next week, we're actually doing an anime, which will be fun. It's called Memories. It's an anthology movie with a couple different anime stories in it. Magnetic Rose. Some astronauts, they get trapped on they're a salvage team, and then they respond to a distress signal from a haunted space station. It's pretty interesting. Then there's one called the Stink Bomb, something like that, where this guy gets attached to a stench and it's killing everything around him. I anticipate that's going to be Jordan's favorite. I'm not sure. Based on tonight's movie rating, maybe not. Again, my mind is blown tonight. She's a Star Wars fan, had no idea, and she doesn't like bad taste. Oh, well.
I didn't love bad taste. That's it. I can't hear you.
Oh, I was saying, do you think there's a sexy Ghostbusters?
There should be. That would be great.